success, wealth, influence. These are words that ignite a spark in nearly everyone who hears them. For generations, people have searched for the keys to unlock these treasures, not just for material gain, but for the freedom and opportunities they bring. One of the most powerful guides ever written on this subject is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. First published in 1937, this timeless classic has sold over 100 million copies and continues to shape the lives of entrepreneurs, leaders, and dreamers all over the world. But here's the surprising truth. Think and Grow Rich is not just a book about making money. Yes, wealth is one outcome, but the real treasure lies in understanding the principles that govern human achievement, personal growth, and unstoppable determination. It's a manual on how to think differently, how to program your mind for success, and how to turn intangible ideas into tangible realities. Napoleon Hill didn't create these ideas out of thin air. In fact, he spent over 20 years studying the most successful people of his era, business titans like Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and Alexander Graham Bell. Through thousands of interviews, Hill discovered that success was not an accident. It followed specific principles that anyone could learn and apply. And that's what makes this book so powerful. These are not just theories or empty motivational slogans. These are strategies forged in the fires of real achievement. Whether you dream of building a business, excelling in your career, creating art, or simply becoming the best version of yourself, the lessons in Think and Grow Rich hold the blueprint. Welcome to Legacy Book Insight. Over the course of this video, we're going to break down the 13 key principles Napoleon Hill revealed. We'll explore each idea in detail, uncovering not just what they mean, but how you can apply them right now in your daily life. And by the end, you'll see why this book is considered the ultimate roadmap to success. So, grab a notebook, clear away distractions, and lean in closely. Because the knowledge you're about to hear has transformed ordinary people into extraordinary leaders, lifted struggling dreamers into millionaires, and even inspired generations of motivational teachers, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Section 2. Napoleon Hill's background and the birth of Think and Grow Rich. To truly understand the power of Think and Grow Rich, we first need to step back and look at the man behind the words, Napoleon Hill. His own story is just as fascinating as the lessons he spent decades collecting. Born in 1883 in a small cabin in rural Virginia, Hill grew up in poverty. His father was a struggling farmer, and his mother passed away when he was just 9 years old. Life was far from easy. In fact, his childhood was filled with the kind of hardship that often crushes dreams before they begin. But instead of being defeated by his circumstances, Hill discovered something that would define his life: an intense curiosity about success. Why were some people able to achieve greatness, while others remained stuck in struggle? This question burned inside him from a young age. As a teenager, Hill began working as a reporter, writing articles to pay his way through school. This small job would become the turning point of his entire life. Because one day in 1908, a simple assignment brought him face to face with one of the richest men in the world, Andrew Carnegie. That interview was supposed to last just a few minutes, but it stretched into 3 long days. Carnegie, impressed by Hill's curiosity and intelligence, revealed something extraordinary. He believed that success was not a matter of luck or background, it was the result of a clear set of principles that anyone could follow if they learned them. And then came the challenge. Carnegie asked Hill to dedicate 20 years of his life to studying the world's most successful men and women, interviewing them, gathering their stories, and distilling the essence of achievement into a single philosophy. And here's the astonishing part. Carnegie didn't offer Hill money for this mission. No salary, no safety net, just an opportunity. He wanted to test whether Hill had the persistence, the hunger, and the vision to carry it through. And against all odds, Napoleon Hill said yes. For the next 2 decades, Hill interviewed and studied over 500 of the most successful people of his time. He sat with inventors like Thomas Edison, car manufacturers like Henry Ford, communication pioneers like Alexander Graham Bell, and business giants like John D. Rockefeller. But he didn't just interview the rich. He also studied those who had failed, searching for the differences in mindset, habits, and decisions that separated winners from losers. From these thousands of stories, Hill noticed a pattern. He realized that wealth and achievement were not accidents. They followed laws just as real as the law of gravity. If you understood them and, more importantly, applied them, you could transform your life. And if you ignored them, even the most talented person could live in mediocrity. After years of research, reflection, and writing, Hill finally brought these insights together in 1937. The result was Think and Grow Rich, a book that distilled all those decades of study into 13 core principles of success. And here's what makes the timing of this book even more remarkable. It was released during the Great Depression. Millions of people were broke, hopeless, and unemployed. Yet this book became a lifeline, teaching readers that true wealth begins not with money in your pocket, but with a burning desire in your mind. And that's the foundation we're standing on today. Think and Grow Rich isn't just another self-help book. It's the culmination of 20 years of study, backed by the greatest minds of an era, forged during one of the toughest economic times in history. And now we're going to dive into its core wisdom, the 13 principles that can change your life if you let them. Let's begin with the very first principle, desire, the starting point of all achievement. Section 3, Principle number 1, desire, the starting point of all achievement. Every great success story begins the same way, not with money, not with luck, not even with talent, but with desire. A burning, unstoppable, all-consuming desire to achieve something greater. Napoleon Hill tells us that desire is the seed from which all riches and achievements grow. Without it, nothing else matters. With it, even the most impossible goals begin to look achievable. Think about it. Every invention, every breakthrough, every fortune ever created started with a single thought: I want this. Henry Ford's desire to create an affordable car. Thomas Edison's desire to bring light into every home. Oprah Winfrey's desire to rise above her circumstances and build a life of influence. All of it began with desire. In the book, Hill shares the story of Edwin C. Barnes, a man who had nothing, no money, no connections, no education. But he had one powerful desire: to go into business with the great inventor Thomas Edison. Most people would laugh at such a dream. But not Barnes. Barnes showed up at Edison's laboratory and declared he wanted to be his partner. He didn't even know how it would happen. He wasn't offered the role he wanted. At first, he was given a minor job. But Barnes didn't care. He worked with the conviction that one day he would be Edison's business partner. That unshakable desire kept him going day after day until eventually he achieved exactly what he set out to do. He became not just Edison's partner, but a wealthy man in the process. The lesson here is clear. It's not enough to kind of want something. Casual wishes don't move mountains. It must be a burning desire, a hunger that refuses to fade, no matter the setbacks. 1. Fix in your mind the exact goal you want. Don't just say, I want more money. Decide the specific amount. 2. Determine exactly what you will give in return. Nothing comes without effort. Will it be time, skill, service? 3. Set a definite date by which you intend to achieve it. A goal without a deadline is only a dream. 4. Create a clear written plan and begin at once. Don't wait for perfect timing. Start where you are. 5. Write a concise statement of what you want, your deadline, and your plan. 5. Read the statement aloud twice daily, once in the morning and once before bed. With faith, see and feel yourself already in possession of it. This is not just theory. Writing it down, repeating it daily, and visualizing your success literally reprograms your subconscious mind to attract the opportunities and energy needed to achieve your goal. Desire turns goals into reality because it fuels persistence. Obstacles will come, challenges will appear, and failure will test you. But when your desire is strong enough, you'll find the strength to keep moving forward when others give up. Think for a moment about your own life. What is it you truly desire? Not just a vague wish, but something you would give your time, energy, and even comfort for? Until you define it, the journey cannot begin. Napoleon Hill reminds us, the starting point of all achievement is desire. If you can dream it and you truly want it, you can make it real, if you're willing to pay the price in effort and persistence. Desire is the fire that lights the path. And once you have that desire firmly in your heart, the next step is to fuel it with something just as important: faith. The belief that what you desire can and will be yours. Section 4, Principle number 2, Faith, the visualization of desire. If desire is the spark that lights the fire of achievement, then faith is the oxygen that keeps it burning. Without faith, desire remains just a wish. With faith, desire transforms into unstoppable action. Napoleon Hill calls faith the visualization and belief in the attainment of desire. In other words, it's the ability to see your goal so clearly in your mind and believe in it so deeply that it begins to feel real long before it physically exists. Think about the greatest leaders, inventors, and dreamers throughout history. They didn't just wish for success. They believed in it even when the rest of the world doubted them. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times before inventing the light bulb. But he never once lost faith that he could find the solution. That faith kept him moving forward when others would have quit. That's the power of faith. It transforms obstacles into stepping stones, and it pushes you through failure until success is inevitable. But here's the challenge. Most people don't naturally have unshakable faith. Doubt creeps in. Fear whispers in our ear. So how do we build faith when it doesn't come easily? Hill gives us the answer through repetition, affirmation, and self-suggestion. He tells us to take that written statement from the desire principle, the exact goal you want, the deadline, and what you'll give in return, and read it aloud every morning and every night. As you repeat it, you must visualize yourself already living that success. Feel the emotions as if it's real: pride, gratitude, excitement. This daily ritual imprints the goal into your subconscious mind, and over time, belief replaces doubt. Modern science confirms what Hill taught nearly a century ago. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between imagined reality and actual reality. When you visualize success repeatedly with emotion, your mind begins to rewire itself. You start noticing opportunities, building confidence, and taking actions that align with that vision. In short, what you impress upon your mind expresses in reality. Take for example Mahatma Gandhi. He didn't have weapons, an army, or political power. What he had was faith, the absolute belief that nonviolent resistance could free India. That faith was so strong it spread to millions of people, and eventually, it moved an empire. That's the true power of faith. It multiplies. When you believe in your vision so deeply, others begin to believe too. Faith is contagious. So here's how you can practice Hill's principle of faith today. Write down your main goal clearly. Repeat it aloud every morning and night with conviction. Visualize yourself already living that reality. Reject negative thoughts the moment they arise, and replace them with your affirmation. It won't feel natural at first. You might even feel silly. But over time, repetition builds belief, and belief creates faith. And once faith takes root, nothing can shake it. Faith is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. It is the invisible force that transforms desire into action, and action into results. Desire tells you what you want. Faith convinces you that it's possible. And when faith and desire work together, they unlock the next step on this journey: the principle of autosuggestion, the power of influencing your own subconscious mind. Section 5, Principle number 3, Autosuggestion, the power of self-programming. We've seen how desire sparks the fire of achievement and how faith fuels it. But now comes the tool that keeps that fire burning: autosuggestion. Napoleon Hill calls this the medium by which desire and faith are planted into the subconscious mind. Autosuggestion is the practice of influencing your own thoughts, emotions, and beliefs through repeated affirmations and mental imagery. Put simply, it's the art of telling your mind what to believe until your mind accepts it as truth. Think about advertising for a moment. Companies spend billions to repeat their messages, slogans, jingles, brand images, over and over until they stick in your mind. Why? Because repetition shapes belief. Autosuggestion works the same way, but instead of letting the world control your thoughts, you take control and program your mind for success. Napoleon Hill explains that your subconscious mind doesn't filter right from wrong or true from false. It accepts whatever is repeatedly fed to it. If you constantly say to yourself, I'm not good enough, guess what? Your subconscious will make it your reality. But if you affirm with conviction, I am capable, I am worthy, I am building wealth and success, your subconscious begins aligning your actions to match that belief. So how do we use autosuggestion effectively? Hill gives us a practical formula. Remember the written statement from the desire principle? This is where it becomes powerful. You must read your statement aloud twice daily, once in the morning and once before bed. While reading, visualize yourself already in possession of the goal. Feel the emotions of success as if it has already happened. Gratitude, pride, joy, make it real. The more vivid and emotional the practice, the faster your subconscious accepts it. One powerful modern example of autosuggestion can be found in elite athletes. Many Olympic champions practice mental visualization daily. They don't just train their bodies, they train their minds to believe they've already won. Studies show that when athletes vividly imagine themselves competing, their brains activate the same neural pathways as if they were physically performing. That's autosuggestion in action. It's not just about daydreaming. It's mental conditioning. But autosuggestion works in reverse too. If you constantly dwell on failure, fear, and doubt, your subconscious will accept that and guide you toward it. Hill warns us to guard our minds against negative influences, because whatever we allow to dominate our thoughts will eventually manifest. This means we must be intentional about the messages we repeat to ourselves. Surround yourself with positive words, uplifting environments, and people who reinforce your vision. Here's a simple daily practice to apply autosuggestion. 1. Write down your top goal on a card and carry it with you. 2. Read it aloud with passion every morning and every night. 3. Visualize yourself achieving it while reading. 4. When doubt or negativity arises during the day, replace it instantly by repeating your affirmation. With consistency, this practice turns your mind into a magnet for the people, opportunities, and ideas that will help you achieve your desire. Autosuggestion is your personal mind training system. It allows you to reprogram old doubts and fears into confidence and certainty. Remember this, you are always influencing your subconscious, either by accident or by design. The question is, are you programming it with weakness or with power? And when your subconscious mind begins to align with your desires, the next step is to add fuel through specialized knowledge, turning your dreams into strategies and skills that bring them to life. Section 6. Principle number 4, specialized knowledge, the power of focused learning. You've planted the seed of desire, you've strengthened it with faith, and you've begun programming your subconscious through autosuggestion. But here's the next crucial step, knowledge. Specifically specialized knowledge. Because general knowledge, as Hill reminds us, is of little use in building wealth or success. Think about it, our world is full of educated people with broad knowledge, but many of them struggle financially. Why? Because having knowledge is not the same as applying it. Success comes not from knowing a little about everything, but from mastering a specific skill, subject, or field, and using it in a practical way. Napoleon Hill gives us a clear example. Henry Ford, founder of Ford Motor Company, was once mocked in court as being ignorant because he didn't know the answers to certain academic questions. But Ford responded brilliantly. He said that whenever he needed knowledge, he could simply call in an expert with the push of a button. Ford didn't need to know everything, he only needed to know where to find the knowledge and how to use it. That is the power of specialized knowledge. It doesn't matter if you know all the trivia in the world. What matters is whether you can apply specific knowledge to solve problems, create value, and build results. Specialized knowledge doesn't always mean formal education or advanced degrees. It can be skills you've learned from experience, trades you've mastered, or insights you've gained in a particular industry. What matters is focus. It's the difference between a flashlight and a laser. Both produce light, but only one can cut through steel. Hill emphasizes that to build wealth, you don't need to know everything yourself. You can also organize the knowledge of others, by building a team, hiring experts, or collaborating with those who have the skills you lack. That's how empires are built. Think of Steve Jobs. He wasn't the best computer engineer, nor did he write the most code. but he had the vision and specialized knowledge of design and user experience. He surrounded himself with experts who had the technical skills he lacked, and together they built Apple. Jobs didn't need to know everything. He needed to know how to use knowledge strategically. That's the lesson. Success doesn't come from being a walking encyclopedia. It comes from identifying what specific knowledge you need, and then applying it or organizing others who have it. So how do we build and use specialized knowledge in our own lives? Hill suggests a few powerful methods. 1. Identify the knowledge gap. Ask yourself, what do I need to learn to achieve my goal? 2. Study deliberately. Books, courses, mentorships, and real-world practice all sharpen specialized skills. 3. Surround yourself with experts. Build a network of people whose knowledge complements yours. 4. Keep learning. Specialized knowledge grows stale quickly. Commit to lifelong learning to stay ahead. This is more important today than ever before. We live in an age of rapid change. Technology evolves daily, industries shift overnight. The people who thrive are those who keep learning, adapting, and updating their specialized knowledge. One final story, consider Elon Musk. He's not just an entrepreneur, he's a student of specialized knowledge. Musk taught himself rocket science by reading textbooks and consulting experts. He applied that knowledge to launch SpaceX, disrupting an entire industry once thought impossible to enter. That is the power of seeking and applying specialized knowledge. General knowledge may get you by, but specialized knowledge, the kind that solves real problems and creates real value, that's what builds fortunes and changes the world. It's the tool that sharpens your desire and makes it practical. And once you've gathered the specialized knowledge you need, the next step is to unleash the most powerful faculty of the human mind, imagination. Because knowledge alone is not enough. It must be blended with creativity to give birth to ideas that shape the future. Section 7, Principle number 5, Imagination, the workshop of the mind. Knowledge, even when specialized, has no real power until it's put into action. And the tool that turns knowledge into plans, ideas, and breakthroughs is imagination. Napoleon Hill calls imagination the workshop of the mind. It's where all desires are shaped into ideas, and where those ideas take the first steps toward becoming reality. Every invention, every business, every song, every piece of art, every leap forward humanity has ever made began as a single thought, an image in someone's mind. Imagination is the starting point of creation. Hill explains that there are two types of imagination: synthetic imagination and creative imagination. Synthetic imagination takes old concepts, knowledge, and experiences, and rearranges them into new combinations. This is the kind of imagination most people use in problem-solving and business innovation. Creative imagination is what Hill calls a higher form, when ideas, flashes of inspiration, and intuition seem to come from beyond conscious thought. Many inventors, artists, and great thinkers describe this as tapping into something greater than themselves. In other words, synthetic imagination reshuffles what already exists. Creative imagination draws upon what seems like infinite possibility. On the other hand, Thomas Edison described moments when solutions to complex problems would simply arrive in his mind without conscious effort. That was creative imagination at work, the mysterious flow of ideas that seem to come from nowhere. So how do you use imagination to grow rich and achieve your goals? Hill says it starts with desire. Remember, your desire is the seed. Imagination is the soil in which that seed grows. By visualizing, planning, and experimenting in your mind, you prepare ideas to take root in the real world. One of the best ways to harness imagination is through visualization. Picture yourself already in possession of your goal. See the details vividly. What does it look like, feel like, sound like? Athletes use this technique to enhance performance. Entrepreneurs use it to envision businesses before they exist. The mind doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and reality, so the clearer the picture, the closer you bring it to life. But imagination isn't just daydreaming. It requires action. Hill emphasizes that the most successful people use imagination not as an escape, but as a tool for practical planning. They turn ideas into blueprints, strategies, and steps they can act on immediately. Here are 3 ways to cultivate imagination. 1. Set aside creative time. Block out moments each day or week to brainstorm without limits. 2. Surround yourself with stimulation. Read, travel, and engage with diverse people and ideas. Fresh input sparks imagination. 3. Capture and test ideas quickly. Write them down, share them, and see which ones stick. Don't let them fade away. Consider Walt Disney. Before Disneyland ever existed, he envisioned a magical park in his mind. He walked through it in his imagination long before a single brick was laid. His vision was so vivid, so compelling, that others were inspired to help bring it to life. Today, millions of people experience what was once only in his imagination. That is the true power of imagination. It transforms invisible thoughts into visible realities. It bridges the gap between desire and achievement. And it reminds us that every great accomplishment begins in the mind of someone who dared to imagine it. So as you think and grow rich, never underestimate the workshop of your own mind. Because the ideas you nurture today may be the innovations, businesses, and successes of tomorrow. Section 8. Principle number 6, Organized Planning. The crystallization of desire into action. Up until now, we've explored desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, and imagination. Together, these principles build the foundation in your mind. But now comes the turning point, action. Napoleon Hill calls this principle organized planning, and it's here that your dreams stop being vague wishes and begin transforming into concrete realities. Think of it this way: desire is the seed, imagination is the blueprint, but planning is the construction crew. Without a plan, dreams remain dreams. With a plan, they become achievable goals. Napoleon Hill emphasizes a critical truth: no individual achieves great success alone. That's why he insists that organized planning almost always requires teamwork. He introduces the concept of a mastermind group, a collection of people who bring specialized knowledge, resources, and perspectives to help achieve a shared goal. Together, they form a brain trust that multiplies creativity and problem-solving ability. Henry Ford didn't build the automobile industry by himself. He surrounded himself with engineers, managers, and innovators who knew what he didn't. Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in history, openly admitted that his fortune was built not by his own brilliance alone, but by his ability to assemble a team of people who were smarter in specific areas than he was. Hill reminds us that temporary defeat is not the same as failure. Most people give up after a setback. Successful people, however, see defeat as feedback, a signal to refine their plans and keep moving forward. One of Hill's most famous lines in this section is, "A quitter never wins and a winner never quits." He stresses that persistence, combined with organized planning, creates an unstoppable force. History proves it. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the practical light bulb. Had he stopped at failure number 100, or even 9,999, the world might still be in the dark. Successful planning isn't about creating a perfect path. It's about creating a path, walking it, and improving it as you go. That's how ideas crystallize into achievement. Here's something to keep in mind: your plan doesn't have to be grand at the start. In fact, Hill suggests beginning with small, definite steps. Break your desire into smaller goals. Achieve them one by one. Over time, momentum builds. As opportunities open, your plan evolves. The key is to always be moving forward. Take Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC. At age 65, after receiving over 1,000 rejections for his fried chicken recipe, he kept refining his plan. He didn't let failure stop him. Instead, he adjusted, persisted, and kept knocking on doors. Eventually, he built a worldwide franchise that continues to thrive decades after his death. His story perfectly illustrates Hill's principle of organized planning combined with persistence. So, what can you do right now? Write out your plan for your desire in detail. Identify the knowledge and people you'll need to make it real. Take immediate action even if it's small. When setbacks come, and they will, use them to improve, not to stop. Because in the end, wealth, success, and achievement are never accidents. They are built step by step through desire, faith, knowledge, imagination, and above all, organized, persistent planning. Remember, the future belongs not to the dreamers, but to the dreamers who plan and act. Section 9. Principle number 7, Decision. Mastery of procrastination. One of the greatest enemies of success isn't lack of knowledge. It isn't lack of resources. It isn't even lack of opportunity. The silent killer of dreams is procrastination. Napoleon Hill calls this out directly in the 7th principle, decision. Successful people reach decisions quickly and change them slowly. Unsuccessful people, on the other hand, make decisions slowly, if at all, and change them constantly. Think about it. Every breakthrough in history, every invention, every business, every movement, began with a decision. A definite, unwavering choice. Henry Ford decided he would build a car affordable for the average person. The Wright brothers decided that humans would fly. Thomas Edison decided he would not give up until he produced electric light. These decisions became the sparks that lit revolutions. Meanwhile, indecision is like a thief. It robs people of time, confidence, and opportunity. Many go to their graves with brilliant ideas that were never acted upon because they never decided to take the first step. So how do you master decision? Hill says it begins with one word: courage. It takes courage to make a choice, especially when you don't have all the answers. But here's the truth: no one ever has all the answers. Waiting for perfect certainty is another form of procrastination. Successful people decide and then take action. They'd rather risk making mistakes than stay stuck in hesitation. And when mistakes happen, they adjust and keep moving forward. Indecisive people, on the other hand, spend their lives stuck in analysis, waiting for the right moment that never comes. One of Hill's most striking examples comes from the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Those 56 men who pledged their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor were making a decision that could cost them everything. Yet they didn't hesitate. Their decisiveness reshaped the future of an entire nation. The lesson is clear: indecision kills. Decision builds. So here's the challenge for you. Decide what you truly want. Not vaguely but specifically. Decide that you will go after it no matter what. Decide today, not tomorrow, not next week. Because the longer you delay, the weaker your desire becomes. Procrastination is like rust. It spreads and corrodes ambition. And remember, decision doesn't mean recklessness. It means clarity. It means choosing a direction and committing to it, while being flexible enough to learn and adjust along the way. With decision, procrastination loses its grip. With decision, fear begins to fade. With decision, your mind aligns with action. This principle is the bridge between planning and execution, and without it, all other principles crumble. So ask yourself, what decisions have you been postponing? What dream has been waiting on you to choose? Your future is waiting, but it won't wait forever. Decide now. Section 10, Principle number 8, Persistence, the sustained effort. If desire is the starting point, persistence is the fuel that keeps the engine running. Napoleon Hill calls persistence the sustained effort required to induce faith. Without persistence, even the strongest desire eventually fades. Think of Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. Each failure wasn't the end, it was feedback. Persistence transformed rejection into invention. Persistence is built like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Hill notes that most people give up at the first sign of defeat. But winners know that setbacks are temporary. They persist until success yields. So ask yourself, what dream have you abandoned too soon? Can you pick it up again with persistence as your partner? No great success is achieved alone. Hill's next principle is the mastermind, the coordination of knowledge and effort between two or more people, working toward a definite purpose. When minds connect, they create something greater than the sum of their parts. Andrew Carnegie credited his fortune to his mastermind group. Henry Ford had Thomas Edison and Harvey Firestone as close allies. These circles provided accountability, perspective, and strength. Your mastermind doesn't need to be millionaires. It could be peers who share your goals, mentors who guide you, or even books and podcasts that feed your mind. The key is intentional association, surrounding yourself with those who lift you higher. Section 12, Principle number 10, the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever thoughts you plant, positive or negative, it will grow. Hill says the subconscious acts as the bridge between your conscious mind and infinite intelligence. It takes the instructions you feed it through desire, faith, and autosuggestion, and translates them into action. Ever notice how when you focus intensely on a problem, the solution suddenly pops into your head at night or in the shower? That's your subconscious at work. It never sleeps. The key lesson? Feed your subconscious only the thoughts you want it to act upon. Repetition of affirmations, visualization of goals, and persistence in belief are tools to direct this hidden power. Section 13, Principle number 11, the brain. Hill describes the brain as both a broadcasting and receiving station for thought. Just as radios transmit signals, our brains transmit vibrations of energy. Thoughts mixed with emotion send out powerful frequencies that attract like vibrations back. Modern science calls this neural activity, but the principle remains. Your mental state influences not only your actions but the world around you. That's why masterminds, persistence, and faith are so vital. They tune your brain to the frequency of success. Section 14. Principle number 12, the sixth sense. The 12th principle is the sixth sense, what Hill calls the door to the temple of wisdom. It's intuition, that inner knowing that guides you beyond logic. The sixth sense develops after mastering the other principles, when your mind becomes attuned to opportunities that others overlook. Think of inventors, artists, or entrepreneurs who act on a gut feeling that later proves revolutionary. That's the sixth sense at work. Section 15, Principle number 13, overcoming fear. The final obstacle to success is fear. Hill identifies 6 basic fears: fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. These fears paralyze decision and destroy desire. Left unchecked, they dominate the subconscious and sabotage dreams. But fear is an illusion. It grows when ignored, but it shrinks when faced. The antidote is faith, persistence, and action. The moment you take even a small step forward, fear begins to lose its grip. Section 16, Closing and Call to Action. And there you have it, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. 13 principles born from over 2 decades of research, distilled into a timeless guide that has helped millions transform their dreams into reality. What we've learned is this: success isn't about luck. It isn't reserved for the chosen few. It follows clear laws of thought, belief, persistence, and action. If you plant the right seeds in your mind, nurture them daily, and refuse to quit, wealth, whether financial, spiritual, or personal, becomes inevitable. The real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it inspire you for a moment and then fade away? Or will you apply it, persist with it, and allow it to reshape your life? Remember, everything begins with a single thought. And as Hill reminds us, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. If you found value in this breakdown of Think and Grow Rich, make sure to give this video a like. It helps more people discover these powerful lessons. Subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into life-changing books and principles. And don't forget to share this video with someone who's chasing their dreams. Thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing, and never stop believing in the power of your dreams.